Well, this was a turn-up for the books. Some official portraits have been released of the Sussex bairns, Archie and Lilibet. We have some images of them at last, emanating from the palace, or at least from officials on their behalf, as part of a keepsake for little ones. This sort of guide to the monarchy is going to be handed out to all state-funded primary schools up and down the land. And it's in celebration of the Platinum Jubilee, of course. And it depicts Archie as having a full head of red hair. Just in case anyone was in doubt, there's always questions of his hair colour, and it seems that they are confirming he has a vibrant red head with a shock of gorgeous bright orange marmalade hair. It's a treat to have that confirmation. You see this guide, it begins with a family tree. Lovely depiction there of the monarchy through the years with fabulous illustrations, beginning, as you can see, with King George V and Queen Mary. And there are some really wonderful, whimsical, gay depictions there of all the members of the royal family. And I have to say, it seems like very fair depictions. They don't seem to be either going out of their way to flatter or insult anyone in particular. So you see Catherine and Meji there, side by side, both with a rather sort of smirk on their face there, probably resenting being pictured next to each other there. But there they are. And as we slide down there, we come to the big reveal of the Sussex children. Archie, looking splendid there in blue, with that gorgeous ginger, and of course Lilibet. And Lilibet, you can see, has been depicted with rosy cheeks, just like a mother. And so aren't they just exquisite looking there? That seems to be confirmation that they're privy to information about the hair of Archie and what it really looks like, and it is bright ginger. But still, there's always been controversy about Archie's hair colour, because in various seasons, greetings cards, people have said, well, how come it's black one minute and looks like the other? I think people get too carried away with conspiracy theories, this kind of thing. You know, when images are processed, there is a certain contrast and colour grading that goes on. If you've watched this channel a few times, you'll have noticed, this chair in the background is a purple colour. But because the light in this room comes through various windows, but not particularly well, and I film at different kinds of day, when I edit the video, I adjust every single time the colour gradient within my editing software, just a little to the brightness, the contrast, the saturation, just to try and make it as appealing as it can be for you. So sometimes this chair will render a deep purple, other times it will look slightly garnet, other times it will look black, or because if I didn't make those adjustments, the whole thing would look really rather faded. So that's what's happened with a lot of the Archie photographs, because we've seen sometimes the hair in his photographs doesn't look anything like it does when we see him in various footage, the colour I'm talking about. But Lilibet, with those darling little rosy cheeks, she seems to have depicted more as a flaxen-haired child instead of the Jean-Jay. There's always been these whispers, of a sort of preciousness. Remember Megan's concerns over Archie being the Earl of Dumbarton because it has the word dumb in it. She wasn't happy. She thought it disparaged her little prince-ikins. Such an insult to the noble people of Dumbarton in Scotland, it really is. I mean, who would have thought of such a thing? But she didn't want him called Dumbo. She seems to want to protect him from any kind of ridicule, as if it'll rub off on her. Well, we've got nothing against the little gorgeous bairns, my dear. Nothing against them whatsoever. Just you and your hubby. Have you noticed it's been an awful week for publicity for Harry's venture into BetterUp? His mental fitness startup that he's the chief impact officer, that's valued at $5 billion. $5 billion it's valued at. They roped in a lot of very high-profile clients, including Google, who own YouTube, which is a bit of a shame. But they have Google, they have Warner Media, Hilton, Chevron, big clients they get. That's how they get all the money rolling in. They're more or less an agency service, really, for coaches, life coaches as they call them. From my understanding, these people aren't qualified to call themselves, official therapists or psychologists, that kind of thing. Life coaches, I've always found that a little bit of a stuff and nonsense. But if it helps people, it helps people. But does it help people in the long run? Some people have concerns about that, but there's an army of 2,000 of them that are associated with this BetterUp, and apparently they were quite happy with the way that things were run until last week, where BetterUp abruptly changed the pay structure for its career coaches. And these coaches have been speaking privately to the press, saying that their pay could fall by a third and it would make them suffer financially. And one of them said, "I think there is questionable ethics going on. We're getting more and more snippets of information coming out about all the celebrations that are going to be had during the Platinum Jubilee. I don't know about the rest of you here in the kingdom, but it's quite exciting walking into some of my favourite department stores and shops, such as John Lewis, Marks and Spencer. I've seen they've begun getting out their Platinum Jubilee ranges of food and decorations. They're springing up everywhere. I did actually pick up some of the official Buckingham Palace merchandise. I've seen on the website of the Royal Collection, I think it was, one of the official ones, lots of the merchandise. And there is just such a range of exquisite stuff that you can buy, from really luxury high-end stuff down to, a tin of biscuits. This is a strawberry shortbread one. The tin is absolutely divine, but I will be very honest with you. I think it was £10, this one. I can't remember. Yeah, £9.95. Aside from the fact the tin's a nice keepsake, the biscuits were actually a disappointment, the shortbread. It wasn't the best buttery shortbread, and the strawberry pieces I couldn't even taste, so I have had better for cheaper. But it is a really lovely tin. I mean, they're not terrible. They've got a nice crunch. They're just not particularly flavoursome, Not bad. But for those of you with a Marks and Sparks near you, I did see a lovely, and I might pick it up because it was only a £5. They have a large Platinum Jubilee biscuit tin with a sort of carousel that goes round and music plays on the outside of it. That looked a really good bargain. And they have lots of novel things coming up there. So I might try and show you some of them in a future video. But everyone's getting in that platinum spirit. And it seems that there is going to be a real celebration of diversity during this Platinum Jubilee, and I know that there's going to be some criticism for that, and people will think that they're pandering to the woke press, and there might be a slight element of that maybe, but you have to bear in mind that in all Jubilees past as well, this is the thing, the Queen has always been aware that she represents her peoples of all stripes and all colours and complexions throughout the Commonwealth. So from her coronation onwards, and her, there have always been representatives and peoples from all of these marvellous lands and colonies and former colonies that have had their rightful place at the Jubilees. So don't jump to conclusions that they're just jumping into the hands of the woke press, because Her Majesty is the Queen of many realms, not just Britain. So it's fair and right that there is representation involved for all of these people. And I thought this was actually quite delightful that a Singaporean dancer is to portray the Queen as the young Princess Elizabeth as part of one of these celebrations. She'll be dancing and prancing up the mall. The young lady Janice Ho was chosen to represent the Queen. She's originally from Singapore. Singapore was a British Crown colony for 140 years. I think there was a little bit of interruption to that during the World War II, when Japan seized it for a little while and then gave it back when they were defeated, if my memory serves me correctly. But it was dissolved in 1959 and became independent. The organisers want to represent modern Britain and the Queen's position as a global role model. And this section of the pageant where Miss Ho is going to be dancing along the mall is called Let's Celebrate. And it's thought that a billion people are going to be watching all of these events on television. 1 billion. I was quite surprised that Nutmeg hadn't seized the role and insisted that she bypass all the audition processes and take it herself, or ask if little Lilibet can play Princess Elizabeth in her infancy. Oh no. Can you imagine? I bet that's what she's up to. If she comes to the Platinum Jubilee, the scene will open on the mall, and there in the little manger will be Lilibet, starring as Lilibet. The pageant's also going to showcase many different kinds of carnival queens, from a wide range of backgrounds, including drag queens. They've got one coming called Cheddar Gorgeous. Don't know where my invitation is, my dear. Must be lost in the post, along with Mr. Markle's wedding invitation. So we've got drag queens, and the oldest performer is going to be 90 years old, and she's part of a troupe called Gangster Grannies. There's also going to be a large puppet of walking corgis. Now, you might not know, but Prince Charles is patron of an enterprise called the Queen's Green Canopy. And they do lots of wonderful work promoting the trees of our nation. We all know Charles is a keen gardener, and he's an expert hedge builder, in fact, and takes a real interest in our, unfortunately, declining habitat, which is being built over by the urban landscape at a rate of knots. It's really disappointing to see all our gorgeous fields and valleys disappearing under rubble and concrete. But folk like Prince Charles are doing their very, very best to preserve what we have as much as they can, including the local wildlife, flora and fauna, this kind of thing. And the Queen's Green Canopy has been encouraging folk to plant a tree as a legacy to the Queen for this time during the Jubilee. And he announced that a network of 70 ancient woodlands and 70 ancient trees is being dedicated to the Queen. And we have so much magical woodland here, which is iconic and has so many myths and legends and stories attached to it. So part of this woodland that's involved, this network of 70 ancient woodlands, and included in these 70 ancient woodlands is the wood that inspired 100-acre wood, you know, from Winnie the Pooh, how divine, and even the ancient apple tree, where Sir Isaac Newton discovered gravity. And look at this gorgeous picture of one of our churches here, or chapels, with the two yew trees at the entrance. Well, that was said to have inspired Tolkien. There was a report in the Daily Mirror this weekend, they say it's an exclusive reveal, that William and Catherine have been taking steps to try and either maintain or rebuild their reputation, depending on which way you want to look at it. They've been interviewing candidates for a sort of the PR crisis that they're facing. Apparently they interviewed a man and a woman. They personally interviewed these candidates, but they rejected both of them because they were said to be nowhere near up to the job, nowhere near up to it. They're looking for a really dynamic new team by all accounts. William is said to be planning a palace revolution to modernise the monarchy. Their recent tour in the Caribbean was a great success. They were warmly welcomed. Everybody loved them, apart from a few protesters. But as we all know, they're up against the media, and the media are going to tell the story that sells the most, and conflict and drama and scandal and disparagement, I'm afraid, pull more eyes to the news. So they understand that's what they're fighting against. Lies. Now, no one's disputing the fact that many of these former realms want to become republics, and it's been graciously acknowledged by Charles and William that that is the reality, and that's what it's probably going to mean for the future. And if these realms wish to rid themselves of monarchy, or of the Queen or Charles as their head of state in future, then so be it. You know, it's one less country to visit, one less island to visit, which I'm sure they very much enjoy, but, you know, they can focus their efforts elsewhere if they're not wanted. I must give my peonies a mention. I hope you can see them. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? They're the most beautiful colour, and I was quite rude to them the other day because they weren't emerging. They were closed up in their shells, as it were, would not come out. Very, very shy creatures, aren't they, the peony? And I didn't think anything was going to happen, and the leaves looked like wilted spinach. Then one morning I came down, and all of a sudden they were greeting me, and they had opened up. Lovely. Peonies always remind me of Chatsworth House. Chatsworth House, with the gardens at Chatsworth House. It's so beautiful. If you're in the kingdom, it's really worth going there to walk around in the summer and have a picnic on the grounds. Just darling. And the peonies are like soft pillows. So very pleased with them. And I fell out with the lilies the other day. Lilies and I don't get on. Thanks for dropping in my fruits, and I'll see you soon. I'm actually going to be meeting up with my friend the Earl's daughter this week, one evening. We're going to go out to dinner. And I will see if she can enlighten us with regards to any information surrounding the Platinum Jubilee coming up, or any of the whispers, the various reports we've heard over the last few weeks, because that's the kind of thing we can't discuss on the phone or email or those kind of communications, really, unless in very sort of coded ways. But when we get together, if she gives me the nod, because discretion is key, my dears, if she gives me the nod, then I'll be able to impart a few little tidbits in your direction, shall we say. But we'll see how it goes. I don't want to make any promises. Anyway, I'll catch up with you soon, darlings. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and lots of love to you. If you'd like to treat me to a slice of cherry cake, my tip jar is in the description box below, and I'll see you soon. Lots of love.